Yo, welcome to Sig Slayers, the comic interview show, period. Today we have a special exclusive episode. 247 Comics is in the house with the creative team of Evermind. Daniel Wu and Sean Chen are here to promote their Kickstarter, which is live right now. Also joining them is the publisher of 247 Comics, Carl Choi. But before we chop it up with the crew, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please comment. All right. Let's go. We got 247 Comics is in the house. We got Sean Chen, and we have Daniel Wu is in the house with Carl Choi, the publisher of 247 Comics. Gentlemen, how you guys are doing?
Very good. How you doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm hyped to learn about Evermind and 247 Comics. So, Carl, I'm going to start with you, being the publisher of 247 Comics. Let us know, what was the comic book origin story for 247?
Yo, Mike, Sig Slayer, thanks for having us. Your energy is like contagious because we were streaming all morning. I'm like tired. I came in to say hi, and you're like, yo, Carl, you're staying for this. I was like, so here I am. I'll keep it short. I mean, I want you guys to learn more about the book from the guys. But, my origin story comes from, immigrating here 8 years old as a kid, didn't know the language, didn't know the culture. I was put into, it's funny, we were talking about at dinner last night. I was put into special ed class because I was ESL and they didn't have separate classes at the time. And so, I just grew up very awkward. And it wasn't until I found comics where I found my people, because I was able to go to the shops every week, talk about stuff that I love. I learned the language because I'm dyslexic, and it was really hard for me to read the books or learn the language, but through comics, I learned the language. And then I've always had it in the back of my mind, and that's always been a source of reference for anything I do creatively. Now, kind of fast forward 20 years later, I went through a career in talent management and music, and then got into film world. And then, pandemic hit, 2020 came around. I got hit on the first wave. And you know what's funny? I was just thinking about this. Thank God for these two, because Sean was checking on me every day. Daniel was checking on me every day. And it was cool because I was dead sick. My wife thought I was going to die. And for some reason, like, I didn't have the energy to like watch TV and all that, but I want to read comics. And so I just read comics every day and kind of got right back into it. And after we launched, I recovered, I got back into the film business. And one of the things we wanted to do was option books for film and television adaptation. But it was through that process where I learned from Sean, amongst other creators. The current industry just didn't change for like 30 years. And we wanted to offer an alternative. And so in working with the creators themselves, we created this concept called partnership publishing, where the creator team participates in the life of the IP, which you don't really see as much these days. And even on the creator-owned side, you're basically responsible for all the debt that racks up over the years, and a lot of these creator-owned books don't really pay out. And so for us, it's a entrepreneurial endeavor. We invite our creators as part of the team. We front all the costs, and ultimately the idea is to partner together to take these stories beyond the comics themselves, but with the rule set that whatever we create for comics has to be the best form for the comics. Meaning, we're not trying to create books as screenplays for movies. We're creating the best comic books for this world. And so here we are, and it's been great. These are my partners in crime and in the World of Evermind, as well as 247 Comics. And so here we are, and thanks for having us again, man. Really appreciate it. Love your channel. Watch it all the time. It's dope.
Man, thank you, man. Fantastic. And so, which leads me to my next question. Gentlemen, Sean or Daniel, you guys can dive in wherever it fits. How did Evermind get started? What's the origin story of Evermind?
Okay, well, I can take that one. Well, a while back, I would go to San Diego Comic-Con, and then we had sketchbooks that we were supposed to bring. And since the sketchbooks, we did most of the work for Marvel or DC, we tried to put in stuff that we created ourselves, just so it's not all stuff that's licensed property from Marvel or DC. So I had to create things that looked like comic books, but were really just our artwork that had no story behind it. So I created an image of this giant robot and this girl robot together, and it looked like it implied a bigger story, but really it was just that one image. So I put it in the sketchbook and sold it at the table at San Diego. And someone came by and was looking at the stuff on my table, and then started flipping through everything, and he stopped on that one picture and asked about it. And asked if there was a comic attached to it or if there was a story behind it, and I just said no, because it was really just an image to put in a sketchbook. Then he kept on pushing more and more to see, like, well, what is the story about? And I said, like, there's no story, it's just an image. Then he kind of just thanked me, then walked away. So the person who was tabling next to me, an artist, was saying, like, that was probably a Hollywood guy, and this is at a time when the Marvel movies were really taking off. And so this is a guy who's kind of scouting for properties to exploit as movies or animation or TV shows that wasn't already spoken for, like Marvel and DC are kind of all taken. So they're looking in an artist alley for anything that looks interesting. So I didn't know that at the time, but the guy said, like, when someone asks if there's more, always say yes. So I kind of took that picture, put it on Instagram, a few years ago. So Carl saw it, and he asked me, like, well, if you had to do it over again, what would you say the story's about? And then that's kind of started the ball rolling. And so that led to the characters and the concept, and then eventually led to the entire story.
And then Daniel, how'd you get involved?
I've known Carl for many, many years, over 20 years now, through various interactions in the entertainment industry. We worked together on a few projects. And when he started 24/7 Comics, he said he was working on this one project with Sean Chen. He goes, the character looks like you. Like, the character looks like you. Would you want to be involved in this? And honestly speaking, like, I'd been a huge comic book fan up until probably I went to Hong Kong, and then there was a lot less access there. So I kind of fell off, but I would casually connect with certain things that resonated with me, but not as like a super crazy fan like I was when I was younger. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, it's been a minute since I've been in the comic book world. I'd like to come back to that and check it out. But also having Carl offered me like an opportunity to help create this with Sean, and Sean had already started on it, but the full story hadn't played out yet. And so he asked me if I wanted to be on board to help with the creative team in developing this further. And so I've done this many times with movies and television shows, Into the Badlands being one of the most notable, working on that and being on the creative side as well as being a star of the show. So it wasn't out of my wheelhouse, the form of being creative and storytelling. Comic books were kind of newish to me, and I hadn't jumped into that yet, but that was exciting to me. It was different than what I've been doing for almost 30 years now, right? And I think it was freeing because when you're thinking about movies, you're always thinking about budget and this and that always like starts to make the box smaller and smaller. But with comic books, you can make it big. You can make it really huge because it really only depends on whether Sean can draw it or not. And we all know that Sean can draw all that, right? So it just opened up this huge opportunity to be like fully creative without any inhibitions. And also without, thinking about crazy budgets, because that's what kind of holds you back from creating film or television a lot of times. So we start a different media, you can be much more creative. And I found it really exciting.
Okay, so alley-oop, and I'm about to dunk it. I want to know about the division of labor there as far as developing a story. You talk about budget, right? But there is limits that artists have, their strengths, there's weaknesses. Where's that happy medium as far as script to the visuals?
Okay, well, in comics, I think the time is the most difficult thing. When it comes to like the expense to make movies, a lot of it is like building the sets and affording all the the big name stars. So that goes out the window with comics. So, and I guess with the division of labor, like I think I've told the story a lot where when we developed the idea initially, we came up with a concept and a plot. And I thought that, being kind of a beginning writer, that's what you do, and then you just start going. But for some reason, there was a little bit of trepidation in starting going because it was a lot to draw. 6 issues of big robot battles. And honestly, I didn't think I had the juice in me to make it past issue 1. And I think that the lack of total excitement there just came from the fact that there was elements missing from the story in terms of like what a story is, and that was character and theme. So once that came in, and a lot of that came with Daniel, then all of a sudden it got very exciting. And then I found it those are essential components. I think the problem with a lot of comic book creators who are kind of making their own thing, especially if they're artists turned writers, they get to the concept and the plot part, but then I think where they fail a lot is just really diving deep into a theme and exploring it very deeply, and then having characters that are very layered. So once those came in, the story was, I can go on forever with this book.
And then talk a little bit more about the process as far as how you're composing the pages. I'll always like asking artists these questions, like, when are you done? When do you believe you're done with the page? People say never, or when I'm sick of looking at it. When do you believe you're finished?
Definitely, it's all that. I can really identify with a never and sick of looking at it. Mostly because I'm not that fast of an artist, and this is very difficult stuff to draw. And since the story that we came up with, there was a lot of desire not to get in and out of it as soon as possible to make money. This is something I wanted to look right. So you can never spend too much time drawing it because there's always more you could do. And when it comes to writing, since I'm kind of new, a lot of times in writing, especially with novels and screenplays, you do like successive drafts, like maybe sometimes like 20 drafts. I think comics these days, you just do like maybe a couple drafts because that's all the time and money you can spend on it. But with this thing, the deadline was kind of open, and then I wrote it, and I think, maybe we got to like maybe 6 or 7 drafts, but I always think it could use more. But it's a very common thing for all writers. They have their work taken away before it's time, but that's everything. That's everyone. And you just can't keep working on it forever. Yeah, in its final form, I'm very proud of it. But yeah, I could, if you gave me another year, I would use it.
And Mike, you're a lucky charm because we just got funded right now. We just hit the goal.
Hit the goal already? Yes. There we go.
Nice.
There we go. I love that, man. This is fantastic. And so
Like right now, this month.
I'm really fascinated by the process, but now I'm about to reel it back and go back to the basics. So I'm gonna hit you with this, Daniel, and just give people the pitch on Evermind as far as like what it's about. Like, pretend we're at Artist Alley. You guys got a stack of books, and you guys trying to push them off. What do you guys are telling cats?
I would say at its core, this is it's a sci-fi actioneer, but at its core, it's really about a story about a father and a daughter. I think that's one of the things that we kind of identified at the very beginning, is that we had to have a really universally understandable theme that's going on there. And, this Dr. Zhang has created this technology, this Neuralink, which then allows people to control robots with their mind. And eventually it evolves into something where his entire consciousness goes into the robot, right? And that's great for the plot line, but we needed a story that drives us all through. And so we have Dr. Zhang, who's been relentlessly developing this technology for years. And at the sake of his hurting his family and all these things, because when especially a man, when they think they're smart and they want to bring success to their family, it becomes this singular vision, and they almost forget about what they're doing it for, right? And in all those years that he's been developing this, his daughter has almost become the opposite of him. She's against technology. She's against this kind of advancement, and she sees the dangers in it. But Dr. John has been so single vision about this that he doesn't see the dangers until it's already too late. And then when it becomes too late, then it's about these two who've become opposite ends of the spectrum, how they have to meet in the middle and then face this situation, and how to save themselves and the world. And so there are big universal themes, but then at the core, it's about a father and a daughter, and I think that's kind of really what brings it home for all of us.
All right, so this question is for anyone who wants to grab it and pick it up. When I was on the Kickstarter website, it said the Evermind collection. So how long has Evermind been around?
I'll chime in. I mean, November 23 was our last campaign for the first 3 issues. I'll let Sean share in his recollection of where the book was at the time. And then obviously he had to take a break. There was a lot going on. And then he went back into issue 4 to lead us to where we are today. So I would say I think it's been in development since 2020. I think it's like a journey that's been 5 years coming, and it just, what's cool about it was a very slow burn at first, but and in the way I would say even Sean as a first-time writer was on training wheels. We had Kevin Van Hook, who's the creator of Bloodshot and Ninja, come on to really help with some consulting as a consulting editor. And then we had other few writers that were kind of working with us, but wasn't quite a fit. And then Sean eventually was on his own and really kind of wrote basically based on some of our meetings that we were having. And then Daniel was having meetings themselves. And so it was definitely, a slow burn, but, we're here now. And 4 through 6 came together actually pretty quickly.
Yeah, real fast.
And just keeping with you, Carl, the Kickstarter, you said it was fully funded. I'm so ignorant about. I'm a new schooler, but old school soul. So explain Kickstarter to me, please, and explain the importance of what happened just now.
Sure. The origins of Kickstarter is being one of the first crowdfunding platforms. So crowdfunding platform is essentially a place where a creator can present their project, and they could say, hey, I'm going to go and make a 22-page comic book. But in order to do that, I need $3,000. I need to pay bills for this month as well as the printing costs. And if you were to pledge a certain amount, you could be part of this and be the first to get this comic or the original art or the digital version for less. So there's different tiers and rewards based on what you pledge. And essentially, you build a reputation as a creator on Kickstarter by delivering on time, or have a horrible reputation for never delivering, which does happen as well. And so there's literally been guys that has raised like $1 million and they never delivered. But what you want to do if you're serious about your business is actually deliver on all your pledges. And so we're on our 5th Kickstarter now, 6th Kickstarter now, I believe, since the last Evermind Kickstarter. And so it's been really refreshing because we're actually completing the loop in the collection, because out of the 14 titles we have within the teams at 24/7 Comics, this will be the first title that will reach the full 6-story arc. So it's been pretty cool to see it come together.
So, all right. So I'm curious, because I know this answer is probably going to vary, per Kickstarter, right? Each person that's doing a campaign, each project. Let's talk about Evermind. What's the assembly line like? As far like you said, there was a Kickstarter prior in 2023, and then here we are, 2025. Do you fully funded now? Does that mean you guys start doing the work, or is it like you guys already did it? How does that work? The production versus the funding, like what comes first? In what order does it come in?
Yeah, so in the beginning, early days, it was where people didn't have anything, and then they would raise the financing to do it and then deliver. But because we are a company, we want to be more responsible when it comes to this type of thing. And so we actually did raise money privately through a fundraise. We're able to pay Sean for his pages and his work, and as well as our other creators. So the work is done for the most part leading up to the campaign, because it just becomes a big challenge to have to chase product. And so our goal is always to no longer than 3 to 4 months after the campaign's done to deliver the product. So that way, we basically have most of the pages done. It's going through coloring as we speak, and then we'll go through lettering, then we'll send to production. Then from production, we ship to the warehouse and then ship out to our backers. So our process is a little different. We tend to pay all the creators first to make sure that they're taken care of. And then, we move on from there.
All right, Sean, you've been in the game for a minute, man. And this is creator owned. You talk about, being motivated and how Daniel kind of helped with that with some of his vision. How difficult, just in general, is it to create a comics for the people that are out there, the wannabes, the 16-year-olds that that want to be Jim Lee, and they want to be somebody like that, but they don't really know what it really takes to do the job? How hard is it?
Well, it's very hard. So there's the problem of getting into the industry. So if you're going in as an artist, your artwork has to meet a certain level before the companies can look at you. Usually you start at smaller companies and you work your way up to Marvel. And then it's a battle of staying in the business, because there's always hungry kids coming in who can draw your pants off. And then, you have to stay on top of things. And I think one of the things it does is, like, because you're constantly working all day long drawing, you get better and better. So then it's a matter of just surviving, making a living doing comics that usually doesn't pay that much money. So it's all riding on passion. So then once you're kind of out of Marvel and DC, you want to take more control over what you draw and actually have some ownership in what you're drawing. So as a all-around creator, this is a story that we came up with and we own. And then that's also another problem, because before you're kind of working for a paycheck, you can't do as much as they would accept, try to cut corners here and there. And then it's not really your story, and it doesn't really even have to be that great. The goal is just to fill up the comic book shelves with Marvel product. So now that we're kind of on our own, that's not the goal anymore. Right now, it's about making as good a comic as possible. So we're talking about peak level writing and peak level art. I can handle the art side because I have 30 years in the business. I just got to make sure it doesn't look old, because I am an old guy. And then I got to introduce writing for the first time. So this is like one of my first writing gig, really. So there's a big red flag there that it might not be up to snuff. So I really have to dig in deep and get a lot of help and do a lot of study, write very carefully. And my strategy was to just take it very slow and learn as I go, and then revise and make it better and become better every day. And Carl might not know this, but my goal was to just delay as long as possible to become a better writer during the process of putting out a book. And it seems to have worked. So yeah, it's very hard, but it's also very rewarding. And if you do your job well, you put the book out there, and then it gets sent up the line to like bigger and bigger people until hopefully it gets to the very top, and then all of a sudden, yes, you get a call from Steven Spielberg saying they want to make it into a movie. So or you can put it out there and then it just goes nowhere. So you really want to keep the quality high, and that's just time and hard work.
Right. And Daniel, I want you to speak more about the collaborative process between you and Sean, a little bit more about what that's like specifically, and how is Evermind different than your previous work?
Right. I mean, essentially it's storytelling. So that's the similar part of it. But when I first came in, I was like a bit nervous because like I've never really dabbled in the comic book space as a creator. I didn't feel like I, deserved to be in that space, especially with Sean, who's had so much experience in it, right? But then once we started talking, I realized we were talking about the same things. We're talking about character development and how that drives the storytelling, and it's not about just plot or narrative that pushes it. And so once we started talking like that, it's like, oh, these are the things I talk about when we're talking about film or television. When I produced Into the Badlands all those years, we talked about those things. We talked about all the elements that we wanted to put in and all that stuff. So you're cooking a recipe, right? And the result may be a different dish, but the way you make it is very similar process, right? You still need fire, you still need these ingredients, you still need it to taste good, all those things. And so that became really familiar to me. I would say Sean did like 90% of the heavy lifting, because not only we just talked, and then Sean had to go and really develop it, and then write it, then draw it. So it was a lot of work on his end. But, on my end, it was more consulting and really kind of making sure that these characters were compelling. Because the experience we had, let's say, on Into the Badlands, right? We wanted it to be a big show with lots of characters, a lot of action, right? If it's action-driven only, it's not any different than porn, right?
Right.
You're skipping over the bad acting to get to the action scenes, right? Or a bad action movie, right? You skip over the drama to get over to the cool action stuff, right? But you don't want that. You want something that people love all the way through and are attached to the characters, and then the characters then inform the action, right? And that influences that. So that's not this disjointed thing, but it's a harmonious whole, And so I learned that through my 30 years of being in the entertainment business, from being an actor, watching great directors and great storytellers tell their thing and how they do it, and then working with writers on other projects and how they do it. And then we just kind of transfer that over to working on this project, you know. And so it was pretty seamless. I mean, again, at the very beginning, I was a little bit nervous because I don't also don't want to disrupt a creator. You know, I've managed creative people before. I've worked with lots of creative people, and you don't want to step on people's creative toes all the time, right? So it's like, what value can I add to this, right? And so I realized like that whole depth of experience working on film and television, like that was very helpful because again, at the end of the day, it is all storytelling. It's just the medium is slightly different.
And bouncing it back to you, Sean, back on the collaborative process, what have you learned from Daniel and his experience?
Well, really, the story, the main character was originally designed to look like Daniel. And then we thought it'd be cool just to bring him in. And that's where we discovered the theme and the character. Because at the heart, the story is about a guy who's trying to, he's hell-bent on achieving greatness because he's a kind of a flawed person, and he learned a bad lesson early on in life, and he's kind of chasing the wrong thing. So the theme basically becomes like, is it more important to pursue greatness at the expense of your family? And that was basically what drives the entire story. What Daniel's had gone through in his recent past, there was family issues that required him to step away from Hollywood. And so he made the right choice. So I thought it'd be interesting to explore, like, what if he made the other choice? Like, what are the repercussions? And then as a writer, what are the reasons why he would have done that? And so it was, you know, a lot of it was informed by, and here's a guy who made the right choice. And I think it's a lot of fun to explore what happens when you make the opposite choice.
Okay, last couple questions, guys. This one's for you, Carl. I want to know more about the Kickstarter and the people that backed Evermind. What are some of the what are some of the things that they're getting? I want to be jealous. I want to know what they got. I want to know, you know, the people that fully funded this, you know, what they getting.
Yeah, I just threw a link in the chat, and really, the most important thing they're getting is a great story. I think that's number one. Foundationally, when I was growing up reading books, I loved the art, but if the art and the story didn't come together, it was really hard for me to talk about it. My first job was at a comic book shop, and I was always inspired by the story. I was attracted by the art, but I was kept there and propelled forward by the story. And I think it really comes out of inspiration. So surrounding that, I would say the rewards that really stood out, which has, unfortunately for you guys, has sold out, is the original cover quality commissions from Sean. We had 3. We accidentally, we had 3 for day one. It sold out within seconds. Then, you know, thank God Francis, our campaign manager, actually had accidentally left 3 on there for the, you know, ongoing campaign. And then one sold out, and he called me. He's like, "Oh shoot, I think I messed up because Sean only wanted to do 3." And then a 4th one sold, and so I had to call Sean, and Sean was like, "I'll do more." You know, it's all right. So we let the last 3 just sold out right now, and then we don't know yet, but we're talking about potentially doing more. So stand by, follow our socials, and we might release more of that. And then the stuff I'm really excited about is there is this this Chromium world that we've been looking into, because a lot of folks were asking us for really cool Chromium covers and I didn't want them to just be like another, you know, Chromium cover. So I started thinking about these like old cards from Marvel, like the Marvel.
Like the X-Men ones from back in the day. Yeah.
Cards. And so we started trying to replicate that process. So we have these kind of mecha foil covers, and we got the mecha gold. We have the pink diamond foil for number 5, and then for number 6 we have this kind of ocean blue. It's gonna be a lighter color. You'll see it on the Kickstarter, but we wanted to do something really special, and in a way, kind of, you know, sparkle that nostalgia for us, right? And so we did that, and then we have these mecha metal covers, which I think in theme works really well, because in a way, you know, Lucas Zhang, the main character, is forced to put his daughter into a metal body, he himself in that metal body as well. And so imagine holding the books in this mecha metal and feeling that, heart steel while you're reading it. And we just thought these were experiences that would be really fun for folks to participate in. So yeah, those are the 3 highlights for me. And of course, you get a lot of variant covers. Adam Davis, co-creator of Excalibur, Uncanny X-Men. I think Sean mentioned this morning during our launch stream that's one of his favorites. We got Brian Anden, who's a Filipino artist. He did a K-pop Demon Hunter homage. We also have Howard Chaykin, who's known for some of his, controversial content. He went all in for what we're doing here. We have Stephen Splat himself, Mr. Moon Knight and Prophet did the cover for us, and a few others that you'll have to look and seek out for yourself.
That sounds like a fresh lineup right there.
The fire lineup, man. Thanks to Terry Kavanaugh, our executive editor for the team. It's been great.
Gentlemen, last question here. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you want your fans to know, your backers to know? Any shows you guys are going to pop up at? Anything you guys want to share more about Evermind?
For shows, we're doing New York Comic Con and then Baltimore Comic Con after that. I am, and so is Carl. And Daniel will be at New York Comic Con. Yep. So that's exciting. And then, basically, we put this project out. It comes from our heart. The other comics I've done for the 30 years prior are really just like corporate comics, and you can kind of cut our teeth there drawing. But this is an entirely different animal, and it just seems like this is the way that a lot of creators are going. It's creator owned, and it's through Kickstarter. And we're putting out our work and going directly to the people and trying to build a community. And so we're always thankful and always looking for support.
Gentlemen, I just want to thank you. Daniel, is there anything you want to?
I just want to reiterate that we will be at New York Comic Con October 11th, Saturday. Sean and I will be doing 2 signings, one at 12:30 and one at 3. Excited about that because that would be my first Comic Con signing, comic book signing. So that'd be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all the fans.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna hit hit your channel before then, but actually I'll spoil it now. We just got confirmation that Riccardo Federici will be signing with us as well. He's a DC exclusive artist. I'm only saying this because you're a DC fan. He has 3 slots to make exceptions, and he used one of them on the Evermind exclusive cover that we're dropping at New York Comic Con. It's going to be the Evermind 1/2, and it's going to be available. And he's actually going to join us at our 12:30 slot now. And
man, fantastic, man! This sounds like a bunch of fun, gentlemen. Thank you for joining the show. Just know that you always have a home here on the Sig Slayers station. So just know that. Well, that's all for our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the like button. This is Sig Slayers. I'm Mike, speaking for Sean Chen, Daniel Wu, and Carl Choi from 247 Comics. We are out. Peace.
Peace.
Sig Slayers.